Democrats lost themselves in message speak and lost sight of that broader goal.
Well,
now, just to put this in a proper perspective, Jen Psaki was White House press secretary. She previously to that worked in public relations for pretty heavily Democratic-leaning private sector. And I believe she worked at the State Department prior to that as their press secretary under President Barack Obama. It's an interesting question coming from a Jon Stewart, in that not exactly a non-political arm question. You know, it's so weedsy and fascinating that a comedian would go there on this one. But I would like to offer my perspective before we get to Jen's. I think that the Democrats don't quite have. It seems that they don't know which battle to fight. And they don't really have a uniting force behind them. If you get what my drift. They don't have a larger banner to fly as they charge into the breach. And it's been clear in the first weeks of Trump 2.0. But here's a bit more of Jen Psaki.
I think the Democratic message speak still needs a lot of work. But I think just to go back to the original part of your question on the press secretary job, the people who do it best or try to do it the best are the ones who are policy focused on the policy and understanding it so that you can answer the 18th question. You're not worried about exactly every word. You're not trying to I'm going to say this thing and it's going to be a zinger and go viral. Like, you don't think like that.
And I agree with her, I especially on the precision versus perfection. You want to be able to answer the question, not so much be worried about your the long tail of how you answer the question and whether it goes viral or not, or be on the news or not. Eventually, in that role as a press secretary, as someone who is speaking for an organization or a politician or yada, 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 you will eventually be in a spot where something you do say does go viral, but you shouldn't tee up every response as if they will. Some people were really great at it. Kayleigh McEnany, who was actually Jen Psaki's predecessor under Trump 1.0, was actually really great at that. She was really fantastic at having a bit of depth, being able to go and answer question after question, whether they were planned or not, and being able to shape it in a way that could go viral. It is they are two distinct skill sets, and two that are difficult to wield.
You think about understanding the policy so that you can push the system internally and provide more information publicly. That's not always how people think it works, but that's how it should work and how I think it worked, or tried to make it work when I was in the job.
I wonder, this idea now, right? When I'm watching the cable news now and the Democratic messaging about what Elon is doing and Doge and all those other things, the point that you made about oligarchy and civics and separation of powers maybe not being where, not that they're not concerns, but that's not where the messaging should be. It feels like that message hasn't gotten through, because I'm hearing an awful lot about separation of powers and very little about defending USAID.
Now, let's switch gears here. Moving away